I do believe that Samoa example is actually a very good one to promote in the region, and also because countries in the Pacific, they do look at each other, so they want to see models from within rather than something that comes from overseas. And how we also work with, even though human rights in general and also national institutions are perceived as being something that is brought in from overseas, we do try to link it very hard. Well, yeah, we link it to the national circumstances, and when you actually do that and to their normal day-to-day life, they actually see, well, it's also relevant for us. And but Samoa is a good example in the terms of also being a bit of a leader in the region. So people do look at Samoa, that if Samoa is doing something, then it's worth considering for us as well. And they've gone with this model of actually combining the Ombudsman Office with some kind of a human rights institution as well. So I think that seems to become a bit of a trend though in the Pacific. So what we have started to do is that combining the two but having separate mandates. So what we now say is that, like, okay, an Ombudsman Office can actually host a human rights commissioner or a human rights ombudsman as well. But the main point is that we are advocating for a separate legislation and a separate mandate, so to say. So it's not like the existing ombudsman takes on board also human rights issues. But it's true, it's not really, it's sometimes hard to sell, but, and also sometimes the political decision makers, they actually have very little knowledge, and they are quite afraid sometimes of entering into it. So in some of the countries, for example, we do see that there is broad-based buy-in and interest from the people, from governmental representatives and lower level officials, basically. But then when it comes to a cabinet level discussion with the permanent secretaries and the ministers, then they enter into a completely different dynamic. And that's something that we now need to work more on, the higher level buy-in, so to say. Together with the Pacific Island Forum Secretariat, together with APF and us, I think we bring our own complementarities to the table, basically. And with APF being really the technical expert on the mechanisms as such, and the mandate and the functioning and the operations and the whole structural type of issues. The Pacific Island Forum Secretariat, again, they bring in the political buy-in, so to say, and also because in the forum communique last year, there was actually the human rights dimension was actually recognized in a different way. So our colleagues in PIFS at the moment, they are riding also on a high wave at the moment to actually bring more human rights into the arena. And then of course us, we bring a bit more substantive knowledge on the human rights issues at stake, and also that global dimension, and also perhaps good practice from different regions. So we can bring in a bit of, we usually say that, okay, we bring in the global authority basically as being the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, and this is something that we work globally speaking as well. So I think we all bring our own complementarities, and it's quite an interesting concept that I also want to develop similar kind of concepts with other areas of our work. Perhaps not always with APF and PIFS, but whoever is working on these areas. And for example, just in terms of partnership, for example, with the Universal Periodic Review, we work with the SPC RRT in the same way, and PIFS. So we have a tripartite partnership with them as well on support for the Universal Periodic Review.